There's nothing I can do for your wife.
If I didn't act fast, my unborn baby would be dead before ever taking its first breath. Let me start from the beginning. Hi, I'm Tyler, and as you'll see in a sec, this hard-to-tell story actually contains an untapped secret about how to instantly shrink your waistline and get rid of your belly fat without ever breaking a sweat. And, until right now, this waist-slimming secret that is based on legitimate but little-known European research has only been available to celebrities, professional athletes, and the extremely wealthy. And the few doctors and therapists who know these waist-slimming tricks desperately want to keep it a secret. Because when I reveal this extremely simple secret to you in this video, these same doctors and therapists who charge celebrities, professional athletes, and the elite wealthy thousands for this knowledge will no longer be able to do so. Which means you must watch this breakthrough new video to the very end. Because if these powerful and wealthy doctors and therapists get their way, I'll be forced to take this video down, and the secret I'm about to teach you will be once again buried and only available to the elite. The good news is, by the end of this short video, I'll show you the exact details of how you can use this secret in the next 7 days to cut inches off your waist, so you can squeeze into your favorite pair of jeans and be one step closer to the beach-ready body you desire. And I'll share with you the 2 biggest mistakes that most people are making that can actually make your belly look swollen and add inches to your waist. And more importantly, I'll introduce you to the brave doctor, my now good friend, Dr. James Vager, who has decided to speak up and reveal these elite waist-slimming, belly-flattening secrets to the world. Finally, I'll teach you a simple 23-second exercise that Dr. Vager taught me that you can do right now with zero equipment or experience, even while sitting in your chair, that will activate your core muscles, instantly shrinking your waist and flattening your belly. Now, back to the painful story that led me to Dr. Vager and the discovery of his elite waist-slimming, belly-flattening secrets. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. It was the day my daughter was supposed to be born. Just before this moment, the midwife looked at me in the eyes and said,
There's nothing more I can do. We need to get her to the hospital.
It took me a moment to realize the gravity of the situation I was in. After my heart finished skipping a beat, I rushed to my wife's bedside, scooped her up, and carried her to the car, where I drove her directly to the hospital for emergency treatment. As I drove in a frantic daze, I could only think about the safety of my wife and our poor, innocent, unborn child. Then out of nowhere, my wife began to emit a scream of pain, so bone-chilling my mind wondered if either of them would ever survive the day. As soon as we got to the hospital, my wife was rushed into a hospital bed. I waited by her side, admiring how strong she was throughout this whole process. However, as the minutes turned into hours, the baby inside my wife refused to come out. I began to recognize a similar look on the faces of the doctors and nurses that I saw on the face of our midwife. The same look that started the story when she said, There's nothing more I can do. The doctor told us that we were running out of options and they would be rushing her back for emergency surgery. I had never seen my wife so deflated, so filled with pain and sorrow. And yet, I too was helpless, completely unable to do anything for her situation. All I can remember about that moment was the intense emotional pain that's now scarred in my mind. She was wheeled into the operation room, where I was able to join and support her through the birth of our child. Or, at least, so I thought. While I stared deeply into my wife's eyes, I felt a tug on my arm from the nurse. She pulled me aside to tell me that the severity of my wife's condition had worsened. That, for some reason, the local pain meds that they gave her were not working. That they would have to put my wife under general anesthesia for the full operation. And I was not allowed to join her or see the birth of my first child. I broke. As I paced the hospital hallway, alone at 1 a.m. in the morning, I was not comforted by my Google search of C-sections. All the websites I found talked about how it takes weeks to recover from, and all of the major issues that can happen after you undergo major abdominal surgery. Things like back pain, abdominal separation, the cause of pouch bellies, and even digestive health. Even worse, I discovered that C-sections cause more than half of the total pregnancy-related deaths. My heart pounded in my chest, palms sweaty, trembling with anxiety. I lost my grip of my cell phone that I was using to frantically search for answers. To this day, I'll never forget that sound. the sound ringing in my ears from the glass on my phone shattering on the ground. And I couldn't help but feel that this was a metaphor for my life shattering around me. Standing there, my cracked phone staring back at me, my thoughts turned darker than they've ever been. Then, all of a sudden, the door slammed open and the cry of a newborn rang through the halls. The nurse turned to me and said, "It's a baby girl, and your wife is recovering just fine." Every time I think of that moment, I thank God for keeping my family safe and delivering my beautiful baby girl to me. And while the birth of my little girl is always difficult for me to share, you'll learn in a sec why it's so important for you to hear this story. Also, for good measure, and to show you that everything turned out all right, here's a photo of my family with my beautiful baby girl, happy, healthy, and most importantly, alive. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this story have anything to do with you slimming your waistline and flattening your belly, right? Well, this seemingly tragic event ended up leading me to Dr. James Vager. You see, after my wife went through her unexpected C-section, she had a hard time recovering. And, like most women, and men, as I'll show you in a sec, all of her abdominal muscles stopped working correctly, which caused her belly to look different in a way that made her feel, well, very self-conscious. Even worse, no exercise she did helped her recover her previously flat belly. Not crunches, not sit-ups, or any other exercise that mainstream magazines and TV shows are telling you to do. Then I learned something powerful. Did you know that a muffin top, a pouch belly, or in the case of a man, a beer belly, isn't caused by excess fat? Nope. Instead, it's caused by a dysfunction in your core muscles where they stop working correctly. And the horrific result is your waist and belly growing, your back aching, your posture slipping, your strength vanishing, and even your digestive abilities worsening. Also, trust me when I say we tried everything, and none of it seemed to work. Now, since you watched this far, I might as well do a quick intro of who I am. As I said in the beginning of this video, my name is Tyler, and I'm a highly sought-after California personal trainer and owner of one of the most popular online fitness companies, with over 70,000 fans on Facebook, and as of today, my articles and interviews have been seen by more than 1 million people in the last month alone. So you can imagine how painful it was to not only experience a traumatic childbirth, but to also feel helpless in fixing your wife when tens of thousands of people considered me their go-to body transformation expert. However, I handled some very difficult situations with clients before, and thinking outside the box was something I was no stranger to. Then, I met Dr. James Vager. After extensive searching, I came across this highly honored, brilliant doctor of physical therapy, a man with over 20 years of practical experience in the difficult field of neurologic rehabilitation. What this means is Dr. Vager is not your ordinary physical therapist. In fact, he's discovered and perfected a series of unconventional ab exercises that completely re-educate the muscles of your core, shrinking your waistline and flattening your belly fast. And I'll be the first to admit that, at first glance, the exercises and routines Dr. Vager teaches made me a bit skeptical. In fact, they looked way too easy, and there was no way these simple exercises could be the solution to fixing pouch bellies, muffin tops, and beer guts. However, that skepticism disappeared after I met just a few of Dr. Vager's patients. And what blew my mind is the outcome of a slimmer waistline, flat belly, and even building toned flat abs was only a side effect of Dr. Vager's routines. Just take a quick listen for yourself about what Dr. Vager's patients say about his core activation sequences.
My back hurt constantly for years. My previous physical therapist was able to slightly reduce the intensity, but it was always there. With Dr. Vager's unique exercises, my pain was brought to zero for the first time in years. And my waistline has never looked better.
I couldn't stand up straight because I had so much back pain. After doing these unique exercises Dr. Vager teaches, I could feel the difference. I was instantly standing straighter, and my body looked better because of it.
My neck was so painful that I couldn't even read. Now I have no problem doing anything, and I feel strong, confident, and pain-free for the first time in a really long time. I had constant pain for months and was starting to think I couldn't go on my Europe trip. But using the sequences Dr. Vager teaches, I not only reduced my pain, but was able to hike all over Italy with ease. I didn't think I would be able to go at all, and yet I feel stronger now than I have in decades.
Overall, his clients raved about fixing back pain, relieving digestive issues, toning their core muscles, improving their posture, eliminating achy hips and shoulders, and finally being strong again. I couldn't help but wonder, how can exercises that are so simple to use be so effective? So, I asked Dr. Veger, and his answer made me realize how brilliant he really was. He said to me,
Tyler, early in my career, I identified the two major mistakes that every workout enthusiast, fitness magazine, and personal trainer are making. The first mistake is that most of the population is actually suffering from core dysfunction, which means instead of their core muscles working together as a team, they battle each other or simply don't help at all. Can you imagine a sports team where only 1/3 of the players listened to their coach, 1/3 of the players ran around frantically with blindfolds on, and the last third refused to do anything at all? In most people, this is how the muscles of their core are currently working, and unfortunately, this can cause bad posture, back pain, abdominal protrusion, pain in other major joints like neck, hips, knees, and shoulders, and even bad digestion.
Apparently, Dr. Veger uncovered extensive research being suppressed in Europe that proves your core and all the muscles that make up your belly are the foundation of every movement you make. If these muscles aren't working properly, no matter how many crunches you do, you will never get visible waist-shrinking results. These underground European studies explain how doing conventional ab exercises to strengthen your abdominal muscles has zero effect on you and can actually increase your waistline, worsen your posture, and make your existing joint problems hurt even more. Put into perspective, I spent my entire life studying fitness, and this was the first time I've ever seen this information. For me, this confirms that only a very small group of individuals, Dr. Veger being one of them, understands how to correctly apply this information. The exciting news is, this study reveals that you can actually improve every movement you make, whether in the gym or out, by retraining your core muscles to be the first to fire and work together. And this is exactly what Dr. Veger teaches using his simple core activation sequences. I'll show you an extremely simple 23-second exercise I learned from Dr. Veger in just 1 sec. But first, after Dr. Veger finished talking about how the majority of people walk around with a core that doesn't work properly, I asked him, so if a broken connection to your core muscles is the first mistake, what's the second? And Dr. Veger responded with,
Well, Tyler, the second mistake is that everyone performs the wrong exercises all the time while thinking they are strengthening their core, when in reality, you are actually making things worse. Think about the analogy I used above, the one about the sports team where only 1/3 of the people on the team were listening to the coach. Now ask yourself again, if all the coach did was train the 1/3 of his team that listened to his instructions, would they ever really get better? Maybe a little, but the real thing he should be focusing on is teaching the other 2/3 of his team to listen to his instructions, right? Well, most fitness experts focus on doing direct core work like crunches and sit-ups, or sometimes what they call functional core exercises, like the plank or Pilates-based floor routines. And much like the sports team above, what these exercises do is help strengthen the 1/3 of your core that's functioning properly already, which can end up causing more dysfunction in the long run. The reality is, simply changing from one ab exercise to another will never work if your core muscles aren't working properly. Instead, I take an entirely different approach. You see, when I studied the science coming out of Europe surrounding how to reactivate your core, I learned something amazing about how deep down, inside all of our human DNA, is an exact sequence of exercises that your body must go through in order to function properly. You see, from birth, your body was designed to go through a series of movement progressions that will lead you from crawling to standing to walking and eventually running. The problem is, when you get injured, when you sit for hours a day, or even when you suffer from feeling self-conscious, your core muscles adapt as a way of compensating for the injury or postural dysfunction. And when your core stops functioning properly, the only way to reactivate it is to use these primal exercises in a specific sequence. When done properly, you will reset your core's proper function and finally see the results that you want.
Dr. Veger had just taught me the single most valuable piece of fitness information I'd ever learned. And in just a sec, I'll show you one of his easy-to-use core activation exercises that will help you to shrink your waistline and flatten your belly fast. But first, at this point, you're probably asking yourself, how do I know if my core isn't functioning properly? The good news is, there are a few very clear reasons your core can stop working properly, and all you have to do is ask yourself the following questions. If you answer yes to even just one of them, there's a good chance your core is not functioning properly, and you'll need to reactivate it before you will see real results. Have you ever trained your abs using conventional crunches and sit-ups? Do you sit more than 2 hours a day? Have you had a bone, joint, or tissue injury, even a small one? Is there room for improving your posture? Have you ever had a surgery performed on you? Do you ever work out using weight machines at the gym? Have you ever experienced any sort of head trauma? Do you have a noticeable lack of self-confidence? Well, did you answer yes to at least one of these questions? If so, keep watching, because I'm about to share with you a simple exercise you can use right now to shrink your waistline and get the belly flattening results you really want. But before I reveal this powerful but simple exercise, let me bring you back to my little baby girl so I can explain why she's such an integral part of this discovery. After meeting Dr. Vega, studying his methods, and reading the scientific literature he gave me, I experienced an eye-opening aha moment that brought everything together. This moment came to me when I was watching my baby girl on her back. I was thinking about the conversations Dr. Vega and I had had earlier in the week, when, out of nowhere, my baby girl began doing the exact exercises in the exact order Dr. Vega had described. Her primal brain was activating her core muscles right in front of my eyes. It was so simple, but no one seemed to know about it, except Dr. Vega. At that point, I realized these basic movements were the key to activating your core so you can get the waist slimming results you really want, all while improving your posture, dramatically increasing your core strength, and fixing your back, neck, hip, knee, and shoulder pain. So, let me share one of these simple but extremely effective exercises with you right now. But you have to promise me that you'll follow these instructions exactly as I say them, because I don't want you to make the same mistake I did by judging these exercises as ineffective because of how easy they are. Okay, now that we have a deal, sit or stand tall and take a deep breath. Now, give me a big inhale, and when you exhale, purse your lips together like you're about to whistle. And imagine that you have 100 birthday candles in front of you, and your goal is to blow out every single one of these candles in one breath. You'll have to blow out just enough air to put out the flames, but not so much you run out of air before you get to the end. Keep blowing air out, and then, when you think you've blown all your air out, imagine there's still 10 candles left. Do your absolute best right now to blow those last 10 candles out. And when you do, notice how your core is firing from all directions. What you just did was the first core activation exercise Dr. Vega ever taught me. And although it seems so simple, and it's not a traditional abdominal exercise, I'm sure you felt your core muscles fire differently than you're used to, right? Well, let me be the first to congratulate you on taking the first step towards reactivating your core, shrinking your waistline, flattening your belly, fixing your back pain, improving your posture, and eventually developing lean, flat abs. Now, I'll admit that after Dr. Vega showed me this exercise and the others that we're going to teach you, the only thing I could think about was how I was going to share these unique core activation sequences with the world. And, at first, I arrogantly thought that I'd be able to learn everything Dr. Vega had to teach, and I would then teach it to the world myself. After all, I'm a very well-known personal trainer who charges a minimum of $1,000 a month. So I figured that I'd be able to teach these unique exercises pretty easily. However, after talking with Dr. Vega and reading the studies he sent me, I quickly realized there would be no substitution for the real thing. I persisted for months, hounding Dr. Vega to share his techniques with the world, until finally I convinced him to let me film all of his unique exercises and 4 of his classes live, where he would teach all of his core activation sequences to the world. Which means these exercises and routines are not only doctor approved, they are doctor created. Dr. Vega and I hit the drawing board to design the ultimate one-stop resource that teaches his unique core activation sequences. Our intention is to make sure people just like you could use this comprehensive, doctor-created system to not only shrink your waistline, flatten your belly, and eventually sculpt toned abs, but also to help you fix old injuries like nagging neck, back, hip, knee, and shoulder pain, all while you improve your posture, strength, and balance so you can make your daily life easier and more enjoyable. After countless hours of experimentation and plenty of sleepless nights perfecting every last detail, we took a step back and both realized that this was without a doubt the single most comprehensive core training program ever invented. And not only is it the most comprehensive core training program ever, but we made it extremely simple to use. After all, the last thing Dr. Vega and I wanted was to create a complex and confusing system that contained all the answers but was too difficult for you to use. Instead, we did all the hard work for you. So all that's left is for you to press play and follow along. Literally, 3 minutes from now, you could be working with Dr. Vega through his unique sequence of exercises, reactivating your core and seeing the instant benefits that come from knowing you finally have the perfect waist slimming, belly flattening system at your fingertips. What this means for you is everything you need to shrink your waistline, flatten your belly, and eventually get toned flat abs is contained in the new easy-to-use system we call 0 to 6-pack abs. Here's what you get: the quick start video guide that will teach you how to kickstart your journey from fat and flabby to a lean, flat belly. The exercise video library, a meticulously organized catalog of follow-along videos created with ease of use in mind. Go through the whole program or work on selective exercises to help you target your body's personal needs so you can shrink your waistline even faster. The Level 1 follow-along core activation sequence, where Dr. Vega walks you by the hand through the most basic core activation exercises and builds the foundation to activating your core so you can slim your waist faster than you ever thought possible. The Level 2 follow-along core activation sequence, where Dr. Vega takes a step further, teaching you the easy way to strengthen your core without having to break a sweat. The Level 3 follow-along core activation sequence that takes you a step deeper to truly feeling the powerful results you'll experience from following along to Dr. Vega's unique exercise sequences. And finally, the Level 4 follow-along core activation sequence, where Dr. Vega shows you the final steps you need to take to shrink your waistline and flatten your belly permanently so you can feel amazing again in your new body. And since we wanted to make this as easy as possible to follow, we also decided to create MP3 audio tracks and PDF manuals of every sequence and every exercise, so regardless of your learning style, you'll be able to succeed using 0 to 6-pack abs. Now, the total value of everything above is easily worth $239.70. However, James and I felt bad about asking you to pay anything close to that, which is why, in just a sec, you'll have the opportunity to not only activate your core, but also an insane discount exclusively for action takers like you, who took the time to watch this video and learn about Dr. Vega's core activation sequences. But before we get there, let's review what you learned so far. First up is that most people don't understand the role your ab muscles are supposed to play. And since you're watching this right now, there's a very likely chance that your core muscles aren't functioning properly. Also, we talked about how the number one thing that's preventing you from getting the waist shrinking, ab toning results you want is the terribly misguided mainstream advice constantly telling you to do more reps of the same old exercise. And what's even worse, you learn that when you follow this bad advice, your waistline will grow. You'll agitate your aches and pains and can even end up injuring yourself in the process. Then, you discover that the solution is to reactivate your core by turning to simple but extremely effective exercises that not only shrink your waistline and build toned, flat abs, but to also help fix old injuries, improve your posture, and make your daily life easier and more enjoyable. Finally, these unique core activation sequences were intuitively created by Mother Nature and now perfected by science. Dr. Vega has used them to help hundreds of people in his own practice, and after fighting me off for several months, begging him to share his core activation sequences with the world, he finally agreed. Which means, today, you have the chance to reactivate your core the way Mother Nature intended, and get the waist slimming results you truly deserve. However, Dr. Vega's core activation sequences aren't all you're going to get today. In fact, we wanted you to be so over the top thrilled about investing in the new 0 to 6-pack ab system that we decided to hit the drawing board and create a second program that takes over as soon as you master the exercises that Dr. Veger is going to teach you. This Phase 2 program features a new workout method I pioneered called micro-progression technology. It picks up where Dr. Veger's core activation sequences leave off and takes you through a series of 56 different ab workouts specifically designed to take you from fat and flabby to flat, lean abs in the fastest time possible. That's right, I did just say that we will be rewarding you by adding 56 more follow-along workouts. And if you're worried about time, you should know that these workouts only take you 2 to 8 minutes to complete and require almost zero equipment. This Phase 2 system is truly the perfect complement to what Dr. Veger and I already created. And since you've been smart and patient enough to watch this full video, we're throwing in the complete Phase 2 system, which contains 56 follow-along workouts that use my micro-progression technology as a 2-for-1 deal when you grab our doctor-created 0 to 6-pack ab system today. Now, before we go any further, I do have to warn you about something. The 0 to 6-pack ab system is not for everyone. If you think that you're going to shrink your waistline and flatten your belly, all while dramatically strengthening your core without doing at least a little work, then I want to stop you right there. Because although the results Dr. Veger and I are promising may sound too good to be true, I want to make sure you knew that we aren't some BS snake oil salesman promising results without at least a little bit of work on your end. Because, as you and I both know, that would be unethical. And since Dr. Veger and I are real people who care about your results, we could never do that to you. That being said, if you do have the desire to shrink your waistline and flatten your belly, if you have just 8 minutes, 3 days a week in order to see real and lasting changes to your waistline, then the new 0 to 6-pack ab system by Dr. James Veger is the answer you are looking for. And if for some reason you're still looking for a handout and you're thinking to yourself that you don't have 8 minutes to spend flattening your belly, then I would recommend you watch the late night TV infomercials that unethically promise 6-minute abs and never deliver on their claims. Finally, at this point, I do have to share a painful fact that you'll need to hear. Are you ready? If you're looking to get rid of your muffin top, pouch belly, or beer gut, you'll never get the results you seek from following traditional workout programs. The fact is, as you've already learned, many of the traditional ab exercises that the fitness magazines and local gurus are preaching will never get you to your goal of shrinking your waistline and flattening your belly. And the research now proves that traditional ab exercises can increase your waist circumference and even worsen any aches and pains you are experiencing right now. The good news is, Dr. Veger's core activation sequences will re-educate your core muscles to work together the way nature intended. All you have to do is follow the easy-to-use, step-by-step sequences we laid out in 0 to 6-pack abs for long-lasting, life-improving results. And if you're even a bit skeptical, here's the best news of all. Maybe you're thinking that the benefits from 0 to 6-pack abs are too good to be true. Well, like I said before, when I first met Dr. Veger, I was in the same position as you are right now. I vividly recall thinking, can these simple exercises really make a difference to the way my belly looks and feels? After only 2 weeks of using the exercises Dr. Veger teaches, I can absolutely say with confidence, yes, these exercises can and will make a huge difference on the way your belly looks and feels. Plus, to ease your concern, Dr. Veger and I decided to remove all risk from your end and place it on our shoulders. This way you have no excuses and can try 0 to 6-pack abs so you can see the powerful results for yourself. Which is why we created an industry-first quadruple guarantee. If we don't meet and exceed your expectations, all you have to do is send me an email and you'll get a full refund. No questions asked, and we can still be friends. Also, Dr. Veger and I aren't some big mainstream fitness company. We're just two guys with a very important message who want to teach people that there is a better way. So, you won't get any shakedowns or runarounds from us. In fact, if you ever have to email us, you'll hear directly back from me or my assistant Andrea, and you'll see that we are a small company who actually cares about you. By now, my sincere hope is that I've proven to you that you'll see dramatic changes in how your body looks and feels by following Dr. Veger's core activation sequences. I also hope that you see the tremendous value in us deciding to add a second Phase 2 program as a 2-for-1 deal exclusively on this page. So, I'm sure by now you're thinking, okay, how much is this comprehensive, doctor-created core training system going to cost me? Well, when I first spoke with Dr. Veger about selling a system online and releasing it to the world, I broke down the cost that a typical client would be paying for just one session with him, which, as a client off the street, you'd have to shell out $500 an hour just to do your initial consult with Dr. Veger. Then you'd have to commit to at least 2 sessions a week for at least 2 weeks, which would run you another $2,000 just to get started. And this doesn't even include your cost for flying out to California, staying in an overpriced hotel, and the inflated cost of meals in our small beach town. Oh, and that's just for Dr. Veger's portion of the program. When you include the Phase 2 package that we added as a 2-for-1 deal, you would need to add the 3 months of time it would take to train with me personally in my gym, costing you a minimum of $3,000. Assuming you flew out here on your bonus flight miles, crashed on a friend's couch, and ate dirt cheap food the entire trip, you'd be looking at a bare minimum cost of $5,500. However, both Dr. Veger and I agreed that this price was out of the question. After all, we would have to be mustache-curling evil villains to charge that amount for these incredible life-changing techniques. So, I put forward a number that I believed was more than fair to charge. After all, Dr. Veger is a busy man with a thriving practice, and he needed to be compensated for his time and commitment to the system. I told Dr. Veger that $99 would be a steal to get your hands on these core-activating, belly-flattening techniques. However, Dr. Veger's next move took me by surprise. He placed his hand firmly on my shoulder and said,
Tyler, these incredible techniques should be accessible to everyone. This system can change lives, and I want everyone to have the opportunity to experience a life without pain. I've got a better idea. At my studio, I offer a group class 2 days a week where people pay $39 per class. What if we made this entire system available for the price of just one of my drop-in classes?
That's right. Thanks to Dr. Veger's commitment to sharing his waist slimming secrets with you, you're not going to have to pay $5,500 to learn these core activation sequences. In fact, you're not even going to have to pay 2% of that amount. That's because, today only, you're getting the doctor-created 0 to 6-pack ab system for the graciously discounted price of just $39. What should be priced at a minimum of $99, Dr. Veger and I are now offering at this one-time, fast-action price in hopes that you will make the wise decision to invest in yourself and get your hands on the 0 to 6-pack ab system. Now it's time to make your final decision, so do me one last favor so you can know what's in store for you. Take a handful of your stomach and squeeze it in your hands. Think how great you will feel with all of this disgusting fat melted off your body. How amazing you'll look in your favorite clothes or even bathing suit. The strength and confidence you'll feel as you progress through the belly flattening system that will show you how to make your belly work for you and no longer against you. Your nagging aches and pains, plaguing you from the inside, will have to find someone else to bother, because with your new improved posture, your aches will disappear and you'll look and feel years younger. Friends and family members will remark about how amazing you look, and deep down inside, you'll know that it all started with the decision you're about to make right now. So, click the Buy Now button below so you can activate your core and claim your copy of 0 to 6-pack abs for the discounted price of just $39. And remember, if you're not 100% sure that this program can dramatically change the way you look and feel, then here's my parting tip for you. I'm going to be brutally honest here. I'm personally responsible for over 521 real-world body transformations. And Dr. Veger owns a very successful physical therapy practice with thousands of success stories. One thing that we both have encountered is the fact that some people simply will not take the necessary steps to make their goals a reality. If you use the core activation sequences that Dr. Veger teaches in the 0 to 6-pack ab system for the next 7 days, you will see and feel noticeable results. For most people, the results you'll see within the first 7 days are enough to keep you motivated. So motivated that you keep following Dr. Veger's core activation sequences, which leads to your waistline continuously shrinking, your core strength ever improving, and your belly forever flattening. And yet, for every person that Dr. Veger and I see take action and truly commit to the core activation sequences and micro progression workouts, there's another person who ignores this information completely and continues to not get any results. Until this point in your life, you can't blame yourself about the way your belly looks. After all, this information has never been released to the public until now, and you've been given bad advice for decades. However, now that you know the truth, if you turn your back on it, you will have nobody to blame but yourself. So, I'll leave you with one final question. Which person do you want to be? The person who takes action right now and uses 0 to 6-pack abs the next 7 days, instantly increasing your core strength and shrinking your waistline, becoming motivated to continue, and over the next 30 days will be confident you found the secret to finally getting the body you want. Or the person who ignores this new ab training technology, who finds themselves 30 days from today staring in the mirror at their weak, flabby belly, all while wondering to themselves, could the secrets contained in this system actually help them? The choice is yours. You can continue on with your life, being content with the mediocre results you are getting, or try something new that has been proven to work and see for yourself how these real results are easily obtainable. All you have to do right now is click the Buy Now button below so you can activate your core and claim your copy of 0 to 6-pack abs for the discounted price of just $39. Remember, every second you spend thinking of excuses and reasons to put this off is another second you could be spending shrinking your belly and transforming your waistline. Seize the moment. Take action while it's fresh in your mind and get started today. Just click the Buy Now button below and you can activate your core and claim your copy of 0 to 6-pack abs for the discounted price of just $39.